It is really hard to know if TikTok books are actually worth it, so I'm gonna go through all of these 10 books that are literally all over TikTok and YouTube. And I feel like you guys are gonna get a lot of insight into whether you should read these or not. Some of them I really, really love, and some of them I absolutely hate. And I hated some of the ones that people loved. So be sure to subscribe because I make lots of videos like this about books. I'll link lots of my book videos below. And follow me on Instagram and TikTok if you guys wanna hang out a little bit more. So yeah, let's just get into all of these books. The first book I wanna talk about is Things We Never Got Over. I think I have a unpopular opinion on this book. I hated this book, and I actually have a whole books highlight with like in-depth like chats about every book that I've read in the last year on my Instagram, so you guys can go through and like see all my thoughts. And I've rated all the books, but they're on a rating of a 10 scale. I'm now rating on a 5 scale, but I still feel like rating on the 5 scale does not give you enough numbers to accurately depict the book. But anyway, you guys wanted me to rate it on a 5 scale, so we are now. So yeah, this book is one that I feel like is super easy to read, and I think that's why a lot of people gravitated towards this book. This is the first time I've read anything by Lucy Score. I flew through this book. I read it so like easily, but it kind of felt like it went on forever, and it's probably because there are literally almost 600 pages in this book. I do not think this book needed to be as long as it was, and I also could not stand the characters in it. I think that if the book had been written about different characters, I probably would have loved this book. I also think that the front of the cover is really captivating, which is why a lot of people like it. But personally, the characters, I just didn't like. I feel like if you like books where the men kind of like tell the women what to do and are kind of like mean, like you'll probably like this book. But I like men in books that are just like respectful, and even if they're really like that like alpha male, like strong leader type, they still are not like disrespectful to the woman. And I feel like, I don't know, Knox kind of was in this book. There's a second book coming out next year. Everyone's really excited about it. I don't know if I'm gonna read it or not, but yeah, I would not recommend this book. This book is The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory, and I've read so many of her books, but I just recently got into reading her books last year, and since then I've read 3 of her books. This is the first book that everyone was like talking about and raving about, and I really love this book, but personally I don't think that this is her best book. Personally, this book, by Jasmine Guillory, is her best book. So if you're gonna read your first Jasmine Guillory book, I feel like you should read By the Book. It kind of is like a take on Beauty and the Beast and is a little less spicy than this one. Personally, like I said, I love her book. She's a Black author. I always love supporting Black authors, and I really gravitate towards their books as a Black woman. But personally, I feel like miscommunication is one of like the biggest downfalls in books, and I think that there was a lot of miscommunication in this book with the characters. I also think that in a lot of Jasmine Guillory's books, the women are hyper independent, but they kind of like jump to conclusions a lot, and I feel like the main character did a lot in this book. But overall, I did love the writing, I love the book itself, and I really did like the characters. I just didn't really like how they had a lot of miscommunication in the book, and they kind of jumped to conclusions a lot. So if you were to pick a book by Jasmine Guillory for the first time, I would say read By the Book. I think it's a little bit sweeter. They're, I don't know, able to communicate a little bit easier. It's a little bit more fun, but I would recommend this book as well. The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang, I think that's how you say it, is about a character named Stella, and she is a character that is so smart and is really successful, and she meets this guy named Michael who she pretty much hires to like teach her how to date and like do stuff that she's never done before in a relationship or like with a man. And I did like this book a lot. I really did. It was also about a character who has Asperger's, who Stella was able to like navigate the world and I feel like share a different aspect of the world that I normally don't see in books. I will say this was super spicy and it was extremely unexpected. I think by reading on the back of the book, I thought that she was gonna hire this guy to like teach her how to like date and be like a better girlfriend, not necessarily how to like be better in the bedroom. I don't know why I got that vibe, but I just did. So it definitely had a little bit of spice for me, like a little too much. This was kind of like middle of the road. The book wasn't bad, it wasn't incredible. If someone said, should I read it? I'd be like, yeah, if you have some extra time, you should read it, but I wouldn't really do cartwheels to like get someone to read this book. Again, it is good, but it just was kind of middle of the road for me. I would recommend it, but I wouldn't put it like on the top of your TBR. Beach Read by Emily Henry was one book that I absolutely loved, and some people didn't like it and some people were obsessed with it, and I feel like I was in the category of obsessed. I think the reason I liked it is because I typically don't like grumpy sunshine, and if I do, it's like very rare, and this was a grumpy sunshine story. But I think that the reason why I liked it is because usually when an author writes grumpy sunshine, they make the guy like just so mean, or the girl so mean, whoever's like the grumpy one, and I feel like he wasn't super mean. So you kind of knew that like there's something good in him, and the main character just kind of had to pull it out. This book was about grief, but not in like a overarching way where the whole book is about grief. These two characters are authors, which I really liked. It was very book focused, and I feel like it was really cool to see how, I don't know, they both challenged themselves to write in a different way, and it wasn't so focused on the romance where you couldn't really see any other parts of the story. I just feel like overall it was very well rounded, and I literally bought 2 more books from her right after I read this. I also read it on vacation, which I think also helps because it's called Beach Read. So yeah, would definitely recommend this book. Before I get into the last half of the books, I want to thank our sponsor Ello, because I have been drinking so much more water than ever before because I have this half-gallon water bottle, and what I love about it is not only is it dishwasher safe, I feel like these little time markers on the front, this is like 9 a.m., 11, 1, 3, 5, and 7, really help me to drink so much more water. And drinking more water has not only helped me like feel better, and you won't even realize it until you like actually start doing it, because like 1 cup of water or 1 glass of water is not going to help you like really give your body what it needs. But drinking more water has not only helped me feel better, but it's also helped my periods. It's helped me have more energy, like I don't feel sluggish. It is just like the absolute best thing that I've added into this new year. What I also love is that this little button right here pops the top off, but if you are carrying it with you, you can slip this little doodad over and it'll lock the water bottle for you, so you don't have to worry about it like tumbling over in your car, which has happened to me way too many times. Also, they have a like special straw in here that makes it so that there is like not really going to be bacteria in this water bottle, because I feel like straws can sometimes be like super gross and like gross you out unless you get something that's like antibacterial, like this straw from Ello. So overall, it's a really easy water bottle that you can carry with you. It's so cute. They have tons of different colors. It's really affordable, and I like finding things that are not only affordable but good for your health, good for the new year, and I feel like you guys will really love this. I do have a code if you guys want to pick it up for yourself. Look how small this is. I can literally carry it in one hand. You guys can already see how much water I've drank, and you guys could be drinking your water while you watch this video. So I'll link this water bottle below, but I will also link my code if you guys want to pick it up. And thank you, Ello, for sponsoring this video. I know that you guys are gonna love drinking more water in the new year, and you're gonna feel so much better. Every Summer After is a book that I really thought I would be obsessed with. I think because the cover, because it was friends to lovers, that's like my favorite trope. I love romances. I just thought that this was gonna be something I'd be obsessed with, and I really wasn't. I would not really recommend this book. I know that everyone was crazy over it, but personally, I read this and the ending just like killed it for me. If you guys have read this book, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you haven't read this book, the ending really will change your whole view of this entire story and love story, and it just is kind of like crazy, and I don't know, I feel like a little unforgivable. Maybe I'm being harsh, I don't know. But I think a great alternative to this book is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren, which these books are pretty much the exact same book. And I, like Carly Fortune, she wrote this book like after this book, and they're just so similar. And I get like friends to lovers, like going somewhere for the summer is like very typical for a friends to lovers type book, but they were extremely similar, only the endings were different. And I also think that the main character, Elliot, in this book is like one of the best book boyfriends ever. I have recommended this book to so many people and they have fallen in love with it. And also what I love about this book is that the writing is really easy. It's about two book lovers and they like read together, and it's just so like special. And it goes through like when they're really, really little to like when they're older, so you get to really see them grow up together and like go through all of the hardships and just like learning about themselves and all of that together, and it's really, really sweet. This book is also the only book that I've ever given, or that I ever gave, wow, I literally can't talk. This is the only book that I gave like a 10 out of 10 last year when I rated it, so it would be 5 out of 5. And I don't give out those like ratings lightly, so definitely read Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This writing was easy to read by Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, but I just think that the ending just didn't do it for me. So I wouldn't really recommend this book, but I would recommend this book if you're wanting to read a friends to lovers, like summer, like happy vibe story. If you are on Black TikTok, or if you're on Black like BookTube, you see different books than you see whenever you're watching videos from like white creators, which is why I actually started creating book related videos, because I literally could not find books about Black characters, and it was like just really hard to do. So I hope to be able to share that not only with you guys in these videos, but also I share a lot of that in my vlogs as well, because this is like a very vlog heavy channel. But I'm always talking about books in pretty much every video. 7 Days in June was a book that I came across on TikTok, and I was not sure about it to begin with, to be honest. Like I just wasn't sure, because the cover gives me the vibe of like something that like my auntie would read or something, you know. It just like looked a little like, there's some books that are like very, I don't know, the language is a little heavy. It just like looked like it would be a book that is too poetic, and I love this book. Love the entire book from start to finish. I love both the characters. I do think that it was a little heavy, and there definitely was a lot of like deeper topics. Like the characters talked about generational traumas, about working through trauma, just so many like really heavy topics. So it wasn't really one of those books that gives you that like light and happy airy feel, and you kind of do feel a little bit of the weight of the world, which sometimes I don't really care for, because I want true escapism. But I think I love this book because it was so real, and I think breaking generational like traumas is really hard to do, and I feel like it's very rare that authors or just people in general talk about it. So I really did love this book. I would definitely recommend this book. It's a very beautiful love story, and it's also a very beautiful story of breaking like generational trauma and like walking into a new way of life than the one that you like lived when you were growing up. It's just very, very like a beautiful story, but also very easy to read. It's not anything like too heavy with like wordiness or anything. So definitely recommend this one. I had to throw in a Colleen Hoover book, and I've read so many Colleen Hoover books and love all of her books. So except for It Ends With Us, I was probably the only one who didn't really like that book, but we can talk about that another time if you guys want to get into that. But I've been reading Colleen Hoover since like 2013. The first book I read of hers was Hopeless. Her books are incredible. They're so easy to read. They're so like fun. I feel like I can, anytime I get in a book slump, I'm like, let me grab a Colleen Hoover book, because I know it's gonna get me out of it, because it's so easy to read. But this was a book that was unlike any of her other books, because all of her books are very, very like romance focused, and I don't know, I just was really not thinking that I would like this. I do love thrillers. I pretty much only read romances and thrillers, but coming from an author that I love so much and that I love for romance, I wasn't sure if I would love this book, and she blew me away with this. Like, I would recommend this to anyone. If you're someone who wants to maybe get into thrillers, or because there is a love story in this, so like you do get that romance aspect, but it's definitely hidden behind like the thriller part of it as well. So I feel like if you're someone who wants to get into like thrillers, or if you just want to read like a really easy read, I feel like her books are that. I mean, the words in her books are huge, and they're just so easy to read. Like, I could probably read this in a day. So I definitely would recommend Verity, but I would also recommend so many of her other books. And if you guys want me to do a whole like Colleen Hoover like specific book video, let me know, because I will definitely do that, because I own so many of her books and I've read so many of them and I've been reading them since like forever. So I would love to give you tons of recs for all the books that she has, but definitely would recommend this one. This is definitely going to be an unpopular opinion because so many people love this book, but I hated this book. It was one of the hardest books to get through, and I'm a pretty like optimistic, positive person, and I feel like this book just like made me so sad. And I think usually in books you'll get like happy, sad, happy, little sad, and then happy at the end. So it like ends usually, if it's not like a happy ending, it still ends on a very like introspective type of book where you can be happy for the character and their growth or something like that. And this book, I just don't know what happened. I was so sad the whole way through, and at the ending I was still sad. And I think I know what the author is trying to do. They're trying to make a very real book that's like, you know, life isn't always easy, life isn't always perfect, and kind of giving you that like realistic type of view. But come on, sis, like this was just sad, like just too much. And there is a show, and people said that the show is really good, so maybe if I watch the show I'd like it a little bit better. But I just was, I don't know, I don't know. Even if the ending had been a good ending, I still feel like the whole book itself would have just been sad. And I also don't really care for how the author, and it's her writing style, but I don't care for how she doesn't use like punctuation in her books. Like she doesn't use a lot of it, so when people are talking, it's really hard to tell who's talking because she doesn't use like the correct punctuation for all of her sentences, because that's just like her writing style. I don't know, I'm like, I get you're trying to be artsy, but it's just not for me. So if you want to read a book that is not all about like life being perfect and is kind of like sad and more of like a realism type book, you'd probably like this. But even still, it's like, if you're in that headspace, maybe this isn't the book to read because it's just gonna make you really sad about the world. Definitely wouldn't recommend. I could hug this book. I love this book. This is Honey and Spice, and you guys probably saw this all over Book Talk, specifically Black Book Talk, because I don't feel like I saw any like white readers talking about this book. But this book was all over, and I was like, okay, I have to read it. Now, I feel like Reese's book club recs are usually really good, and I feel like 7 Days in June was another book that was one of her recs, so I was like, okay, I feel like that's a good sign. Wasn't sure initially if I would like this book, because when I first started it, it is heavy on like, let's see, I want to make sure I'm not like spoiling anything. I gotta read through here. So I don't want to spoil anything, but it has some heavier topics that I think as a Black woman I have a hard time reading sometimes, because like I live that experience and so many other Black people live similar experiences, especially in college, or have maybe lived that experience in college. So right off the bat I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. Like, I like to escape in books. I don't necessarily like to live through like what I went through in life or what I'm going through in life. But guys, I love this book. I love this book, love this book, love this book so much. It was one of my favorite books of the year. Malachi is an incredible like book boyfriend, and I love how Kiki, like, she loved anime and was different, and it just highlighted so many things that you don't see in Black books or books that Black authors have written about Black people. Definitely recommend this book. You guys will love it. This book, The Honeymooners, was one that I didn't really think I would like, because it kind of starts off super cheesy, and it's so cheesy where I was like, this would be a good Hallmark movie, but it isn't really translating into a good book. But I'd say about, I don't know, less than halfway through I was really into it. I think the main character is Hispanic, so I also really like that, because I feel like anytime a book has diversity in it, I'm just like all like in. This is a Christina Lauren book, and this I think was my first or second book by her, but I own a ton of books by her and they're on my TBR, so I definitely want to read them. I don't know if I'd say I would recommend this as your first Christina Lauren book. Love in Other Words, the book that I showed you guys, is a book by Christina Lauren, and I would probably say read that book first because I think that it is a better read. But if you are like, have already read something by her, read this. I just want to make sure I give you a really, really like incredible rec from an author, so you're not like turned off by the author and don't want to read something by them in the future. But definitely read this book. I just wouldn't say read it as your first Christina Lauren book. It's very fun, but a little cheesy at times too. I hope you enjoyed all of these book recs, because I feel like it's very hard to find like good recs on YouTube, because I feel like sometimes, I don't know, things are overhyped at times. If you guys are looking for a water bottle, don't forget to use my code from Ello. I feel like who isn't in need of more water? But what I love about this water bottle, again, is it has these little markers on here, which makes it easy to drink the water. It has this little stopper right here, so you don't have to get water all over your car if it falls over or something. It also has a straw that keeps bacteria away, and it's dishwasher safe and really affordable. So go and pick it up for yourself. I know you guys are gonna love it. And comment below what kind of books you guys want me to talk about in the future. I pretty much only read romance and thrillers, but let me know if you guys would want like a full Colleen Hoover like book review of all the books to read from her, or if you want like a review of books by Black authors, or if you want more TikTok reviews, because I have even more books that I've read that people have hyped up on TikTok. Let me know what you guys want to see. And also I will link below tons of videos that I have talked about books, where I have given reading vlogs and given lots of recs. I'll link those below because I do book hauls all the time. I'm constantly book shopping and reading. And I'm really excited for this new year because I am like really leaning into talking about reading more, because I feel like this space does not have enough Black creators who are talking about books and reading books, and I don't know, I'm excited to share with you guys. So comment below just what you're reading. I want to hear from you guys, because this community isn't fun unless we're all connecting together. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.